Today's social media segment is brought to you by Rouse's Markets. Feels like home.
Every year we go to the 4 high schools in Lafourche Parish, the senior classes, and we do it before prom and graduation in hopes that they'll receive the message. And what it is that these are preventable things, this drinking and driving, texting while driving. And so we start off just telling them what the laws are if they choose to text and drive and if they choose to drink and drive. And then of course we go and allow a parent to get up there and tell their story, which is I think the most impactful part of the program is these parents take time and they relive their tragedy in hopes of saving a life. And so, you know, this is yet another year that we've done our Domino program. We were so blessed this year to have Dawn Simmons, her daughter Katie, and as well as Mr. Koss and Mr. Dufran to come share their stories. I know it's difficult for them. I know they don't want to be here, but they do it just in hopes that they can save a life. And let me just mention, they're not from Lafourche Parish, but they come here with our program in hopes that they can help our children. Cam Morvant with Lisa Ogeron, our office, developed this Domino program. You know, it's gone through some changes, of course, the videos and the structure of it, but the reason for it has always been there, and they wanted to reach out to our students. And so we are continuing their program, and it's impactful. You know, the most amazing thing is when you go to a grocery store and you still see maybe somebody checking you out and they have that Domino keychain. I've had it on mine for years. So we know that it works. We're just hoping that we're saving some lives. I'm just privileged to be able to continue on a program that was started by Mr. Morvan and Lisa Ogeron.
Today we have a presentation, Domino Effect. Some of you are familiar with it. We have it every year before prom and some big life things that are going to be going on for you all. Ring night, graduation. Let's get started.
The presentation this morning is a little different than anyone that we've ever given, and we do this every year. I'm not here to fuss, I'm not here to lecture. You've been lectured to probably most of your high school career. The reason that we take time out of our day and our office comes here and these parents who you'll listen to come here is we hope that we can save a life, and that is the only reason that we are here today. So this is the last high school that we're coming to. I just appreciate you guys giving us your attention and respect, and I hope that you get something out of it. A lot of you came in with your cell phones in your hand. I did it too. It becomes an extension of us, right? It's part of who we are, our cell phones. And so when you drive your vehicles, I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I'm sure everyone has done it. You drive with your phones, right? And as you're driving and you start to use your phone, it gets easier. You look at your phone once, you change, maybe on Spotify, Snapchat, it becomes easier and you start to think, I can do it, right? I didn't get caught, nothing happened, so obviously I can continue to do it. But it takes just 1 second and one time that you choose to do it and something can happen. So what I want to give you this morning and when we begin is just if you choose to text and drive, if you choose to use Snapchat or any of the other social media things that when you're driving and you do get pulled over or God forbid you get in an accident, I just want you to have the knowledge of what will happen if you do. So these are the laws that pertain to driving while texting, and this is Louisiana Revised Statute 32-300.5, and what it says is no person driving on a public highway can write, send, or read text, access, read, or post to social media. And if you do, and you get pulled over, the first offense is up to $500. The second offense, or any offense after that, is up to $1,000. And if you are involved in a car accident, the standard fine will be doubled. And this is if there's no fatality. So if no one is killed, that is what your fine will be. 32-300.6 says, no person driving with a Class E learner's license or intermediate license on a public roadway shall engage in a phone call unless it's hands-free. First offense, again, up to $500. Second offense and subsequent offenses, up to $1,000 fine. Once again, if you're involved in a crash and no one dies, that fine will be doubled. 32-300.7 says no person driving on a public roadway that is 17 years old or younger can engage in any phone call, can write, send, or read a text. If you get pulled over, $250 fine, second or subsequent up to a $500 fine. If you're involved in a crash and no one dies, your standard fine will be doubled once again. 32300.8, no person driving on a public roadway during posted hours of a school zone. And there are school zones in Lafourche Parish everywhere. I mean, every couple of miles you get another school zone. You cannot engage in a phone call. You cannot write, send, or read a text. You cannot access, read, or post to social media. And if you do, first offense up to $500 fine, second or subsequent up to a $1,000 fine, and your license will be suspended for 60 days. And again, as always, if there's a crash and no one dies, your standard fine will be doubled. That is texting while driving, looking at your phone while driving. And even if you think you're good at it right now, it takes 1 second and all of that is preventable.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by Alford and Associates for all of your insurance needs. CIS, Cardiovascular Institute of the South, the highest quality cardiovascular care available. Barker Honda, the Barker family tradition of quality.
And let's talk about if you decide to have a drink and you decide to get behind the wheel of a vehicle, let's just talk about what the laws are. Louisiana Revised Statute 1498 says, operating a vehicle while intoxicated or while impaired is when the driver of a motor vehicle has a blood alcohol content of 0.08, and for all of you, 0.02, or under the influence of a controlled dangerous substance. For some of you, 0.02 is one drink, just one drink. And if you get behind the wheel of a vehicle, we are presuming that you are impaired. So this is what happens if you get it again. Nobody dies. You get pulled over, you're impaired, you cross the center line by accident and they pull you over. You had one drink. Let's talk about a standard fine if you go to court. $500 plus court costs, 5 months in jail, which are suspended, 1 year of unsupervised probation, 32 hours of community service work, alcohol information school, maybe you have to go to a MAD class, your driver's license will probably be suspended. That's a standard first. But that's not all that's going to happen. Besides losing your driver's license, which means someone's going to drive you around for quite a while, you now have a criminal record. You're all adults now because you're 17. You're no longer juveniles. You now go to adult court, you go to adult jail, and you have a criminal record if you get pulled over and you're impaired, possibly one drink. The court costs that go with that and all the programs that I talked about are well over $1,000 that you have to pay. If you don't pay, you go to jail. The court costs are expensive, and then your insurance rates are going up. So if you're paying for insurance, your premiums will go up so much, some people cannot pay for the insurance at all, so you are no longer able to drive. If you want to go to college, you want to go to Nichols, you want to go to Fletcher, you want to go to trade school, you want to go to LSU, you have a criminal record now. You want to go to nursing school, law school, medical school, or any other advanced degrees, you have a criminal record. Even if you get arrested for DWI or driving while impaired and you don't get prosecuted for it, you're found not guilty. Every single year when you have to reapply for your nursing license, you have to tell them that you were arrested and explain it. So even if for some reason you're found not guilty, the fact that you got pulled over for a driving while intoxicated or driving while impaired means you need to explain it every single year, whether it be law school, nursing school, or medical school. All right, let's say you want to get your TWIC card in Port Fourchon or any other of the ports, you can't, that could affect it with your driving while impaired. Captain's license, if you have a CDL and you drive a truck, UPS, FedEx, Coca-Cola. If you get a driving while intoxicated, not in the vehicle that you use for work, in your personal vehicle, you'll lose your job because your job depends on you driving a vehicle. So for those who have to drive back and forth for their company, they have a CDL license, they deliver and they get a DWI, then they no longer can do their job and they usually lose their job as well. That is the legal consequences if you decide to text while driving, if you decide to drive while you're impaired, and everything that we talked about was completely preventable. But that's the easy stuff, that's the minor stuff. We all know there's worse consequences that can happen. There are two dads that are here to talk to you guys. And they're not here for any other reason, because they're not from Lafourche Parish. They are here just in hopes that you will listen and that they will save a life. And I hope that you give them respect that you've been giving me and listen to them this morning. I'm going to introduce Mr. Dufresne and Mr. Koss, who are going to talk about some very special people in their lives.
Let me introduce you to my family. So the picture up here on the upper left-hand corner, so that's me. To my left is my youngest daughter, Haley. Next to her was my wife, Tracy, and then my oldest daughter, Madeline. So we're not from here. Me and my wife were high school sweethearts from Cleveland, Ohio, and we had two beautiful baby girls. And up north, manufacturing was a way of life. And as manufacturing started moving overseas, I got into nuclear, and we moved to Mississippi to take a job there. We were there for a couple of years, and then we moved down here. And my daughter, Haley, she thrived in whatever environment I put her in. She was all personality. She didn't have a filter. We used to tell her she had a superpower, that she was a leader. And she had to use her superpowers for good, because people followed Haley. Just naturally, a lot of it probably had to do because she'd tell you how it is. Wasn't afraid of nothing. She was talented. She got straight A's in school. She did travel baseball. She did competition dance. And she was a high stepper for Hanville High School. And I miss her very much. I'm going to introduce you to Ricky, and we'll let him tell you about his family.
Thank you, Joe. Good morning, everybody. So my family, obviously my wife Tracy, and I have three children. Emma, there with the curly hair, Lily on my shoulder, and my son Reed. Lily was the middle child in my family, so which, you know, if you describe middle children, they're fiercely independent. They're kind of in the middle of the baby, and the oldest that's domineering on everything. So Lily was independent, fierce, fighting for what she wants, but just had a heart that'll fill this room up, right? Always protecting, taking care of people, just loving everything, you know, every creature on earth. So, you know, Lily, my middle daughter, about 4 years ago at this time, all of our girls were sitting in this room where you are today, except at Hanville High School, right? They were planning the same things that you're planning in your lives right now. Taking the ACT. Where am I going to college? I'm taking my college visits. Hey, spring break's right around the corner. Prom. Who am I going to go to prom with? What am I going to do? They were right here where you were. And I want you to know that we're all very similar, right? With our backgrounds and how we're raised and what we do. And, you know, these girls being in that room, and then due to the senseless actions of someone, all of a sudden they're not here. And like Joe said, I don't want to be here talking to you either, because if I wasn't here, it'd probably mean my daughter would still be here. But we do have a message to talk to you about how the impacts of our actions and our choices lead to this. So, like I said, 4 years ago, we were deciding where to go to school. My daughter's like, I want to go to Nicholls State. Dad's like, I want you to go to Alabama, Birmingham, or something like that. But like anybody in this room, dads, parents, we want you to chart your own path, be who you are, do your own thing, go make your mark in the world where you are. And so she ended up at Nicholls State with her friend Haley and with her other friend Michaela. Now, Michaela's dad couldn't be here today. He works offshore, but I'd love to tell you a little bit about Michaela. And I think the best thing I can tell you is what I will describe in a text message from her friend after the accident. So I want you to look to your right and to your left, see your classmates, and I want you to feel what the impact is if you lost a friend, a parent, a loved one. Michaela Bowling was the person who brought out the best in me. She made me feel that I was capable of anything and everything. She was my other half, who I shared everything with. The only person that I knew, no matter what, she would always be there for me and have my back. We pulled each other out of the dark and was each other's #1 supporters. I will never forget the days where we talked about how far we'd come, how we both were going to be successful together. I miss calling you, waiting to hear your voice. I miss our sleepovers, our Walmart runs, our late night walks on the beach. I miss your kisses, and I'll love you always. That's from her best friend, and that's about Michaela. Michaela and my daughter were college roommates. Haley was the third fixture in that. Lily was having a birthday, November 19th, 2021. At that point, because I had raised my kids through high school, my family and I took a job opportunity in California. So I had recently moved and sent her off to college. And of course, we had Hurricane Ida. So my oldest daughter there, Emma, that was at Louisiana, Monroe, flew up for the holidays to spend Thanksgiving with us in the San Francisco area, Napa Valley area. And my son was up there with me, but Lily couldn't come because Hurricane Ida required Nicholls to stay in school over the Thanksgiving break. So she had to spend her golden birthday, November 19th, with her friends instead of with me, you know, and we could play the what-if games and go whatever, but I remember her calling me saying, "Dad, we're going to Drago's with my friends. We're going to go have a nice dinner." And I remember Venmoing her some money and texting her, "Happy birthday, darling, I love you." And me, my wife, and my other daughter and son went out to dinner 2,500 miles away. And at 6 o'clock in the morning, I got a phone call that changed my life forever. I'll let Joe talk about it.
So, my oldest daughter, Madeline, her birthday was the same day as Lily's. And all the girls were planning to go out and do something together. Well, Madeline's 3 years older than those girls, and so that was their first year at Nicholls. It was actually their first semester, right? We're in November. And me and my wife were going down the next day to pick up Madeline and Haley and take them out to dinner and do something for Madeline's birthday. So the girls went their separate ways. So it's around 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'm at the hardware store helping out a buddy of mine, and I get a call from Ricky. And he says, "Hey, have you heard from the girls this morning?" I said, "No, not yet. It's early. I'm heading down to Thibodeau in the afternoon to pick them up." He said, "Well, I got a call from the state police, and they were asking me if this is my car. But when I tried asking them questions, they wouldn't give me any information. And I can't get a hold of Lily. So I tell my buddy we're at the store, I'm like, "Hey man, we gotta go now. I gotta get home, there's something going on." So I tried calling Haley and I went straight to voicemail. So I shot her a text, said, "I need you to call me now." My oldest daughter, she worked for the housing at Nicholls, and I called her. I said, "Listen, man, nobody can find the girls. I need you to go do a welfare check on Haley." So I'm going home to get Mom. So Madeline goes and she gets into Haley's dorm room, and Haley's not there. So she heads over to Lily's apartment. She calls me, she says, hey Dad, Haley's car's here, but Lily's car's not and the girls ain't here. I said, okay, we're on our way. So I picked up my wife, said we gotta go to Thibodeau now. As we're driving down, we're trying to call the girls' phones, going straight to voicemail. Calling the hospital, nobody's seen them. Call one hospital and they said, let me give you the number to the coroner's office. So when we called the coroner, there was the assistant coroner was in, and she said, sir, we have 3 bodies that we cannot identify. Can you send me a picture? So we were on Plant Road right there in Raceland area, pulled over, sent her a picture, and headed down to the college and met Madeline in the parking lot. So about then, Madeline comes out and I'm telling the girls, let's head back to the house because if anything happened and people are looking for us, that's where they're gonna find us. My neighbor John called me. I'm standing in the parking lot and John said, hey, sorry to say, the state police just left your house. Haley's been killed in a car accident. And I got some paperwork that you need to fill out. Hardest thing in my life is having to tell my wife and oldest daughter that Haley's gone. We're standing in the parking lot in Nichols. That's how my day went. I'll let Ricky tell you about his.
6 o'clock in the morning when I got that phone call that changed all of our lives forever. State police called me that morning and said, is this your car? I was like, well, what do you mean, is this my car? Do you have a white Mazda CX-5? Well, yes, I do. Well, what's wrong? What's going on? We can't tell you anything. We just need to know if you have a white Mazda CX-5. And can you imagine hanging up the phone like that? Not knowing, instantly your mind goes to panic, right? It's 8 o'clock in the morning here in Louisiana, 6 in the morning, California, wake up my kids. Now we're all huddled up in my bedroom and I'm panicked and frazzled. Hey, are they in jail? I know they went out. I told you I texted her the night before, happy birthday, I love you. She texted me back, I miss you, Dad, I love you. And the next morning at 6 a.m., I got a text still on my phone that I look at that says, are you okay? That text was never answered. So I start calling around. I call a friend that's with the state police and I say, can you help me? I said, look, I can't hear from my daughter. The state police just called me and they didn't give me any information. Can you look through your records and see if you have anything in the database? Are they in jail? Are they in a hospital? And he looked through, he says, Ricky, there was a fatal accident in Houma yesterday that claimed the lives of 4 people, but your daughter wasn't one of them. I'm guilty to say I felt relief, but that's still 4 people. And the impact for that is so wide, 6 degrees of separation, everybody knows everybody. But I did feel relief. Yet, I still looked around in the hospital, still looked for everything. I called Joe and said, Joe, I haven't heard from the girls. I can't get in touch with them. Can you go see what's going on? I'm 2,500 miles away. My daughter had just flown in the day before. So Joe went check. Shortly after, the communications director from Nichols called me, and he didn't have any information other than to say your daughter's car was involved in an accident, and there were 3 girls, bodies found inside, and we believe it's them. And you could imagine, out of body, I can feel what I felt then. I can't tell you what I thought it's just empty, right? But now all of a sudden you got to spring into action because you're 2,500 miles away. You've got 2 other people that have lost their lives. I got to get home. I got to figure out what happened. You got to remember, this is communication director at Nichols telling me what happened. Not the state police, not anyone, right? You know, now we've got news that our daughters are perished, and we got to get home. And, you know, my daughter and son, you know, well, how do we get them home? My daughter went to UL Monroe. She flew from Dallas to San Francisco. I got to fly her from San Francisco to Dallas in this state, and then let her take a car 8 hours to New Orleans, right? To Lulen. And so I'm a nervous wreck, and I tell my wife, well, are we flying down? And, you know, we talk about it, you know, trying to be pragmatic. Well, I think we're going to be in New Orleans a while. Let's pack pictures, let's pack everything, let's pack clothes, and let's get down there. So after hearing that about 6 in the morning, the first phone call at 11 a.m., our kids were already on a plane, and we started the 30-hour drive home. About halfway through that drive, the Lafourche Parish coroner called me. And I pulled on the side of the road, and he talked to us. We ended up at a gas station, and he couldn't even get the words out to describe what had happened. At that point, as a parent, it's hard to hear that, right? Later that day, we continue on our way. We slept in the car on the side of the road for 2 hours just to get here, and you know, we get close to Dallas, and the state police calls me. And when the state police calls me, he gives me the details of the accident. He tells me that someone has been arrested for 4th-time DUI. And he was arrested and placed in jail on a $1.5 million bond. And you know, what that means, I don't know that you know what the amount means. That's a huge amount. Okay? 4th-time DUI. You know, I think I'd called Christine's office by that point and said, I'm getting home, and I want to know the truth about this. What happened, right? Now, I know my girls were out celebrating their birthday, but these girls, through their career, I look at you kids, they've done nothing to show me that they would be drinking and driving, right? I know somebody's in jail, but there's still that doubt, right? Did we teach them the right way, raise them the right way? We showed them the right things. We asked them to do the right things. They showed that they were responsible. They'd have DDs if anybody went anywhere. They had a plan. But it still happened to them. So we're here now. And I'll pass it to Joe and let him tell you why we're here, and even though we don't want to be, and what we can do going forward.
So yeah, like Ricky said, they identified the individual that was driving the vehicle that hit and killed our girls. So a year or so later, we finally go to court. Now the story's going to come out, right? What happened? How did a guy that his 4th DUI is on the road at 12:20 at night and hits our girls head on? So we found out that he was at the bar drinking. So he got at the bar around 7 o'clock at night, and he left around 12:20, where he was 3 times the legal limit of alcohol, and he had prescription drugs in his system. Apparently, when he left the bar, he was in a hurry, because he was doing 93 miles an hour when he hit our girls head on. They were doing around 48 miles an hour, right here on 20. And he hit them so hard that in the blink of an eye, they were doing 26 miles an hour back the other way. He hit them so hard, next time you're passing this sign, look at the road. There's an imprint in the road, and the asphalt's all cracked, where when the 2 vehicles impacted together for that split second, they drove down into the road, and due to his momentum, they went back 26 miles an hour, back the other way. The vehicle rolled into the ditch and caught fire. They both caught fire. Our girl spent 45 minutes in a vehicle on fire at over 1,400 degrees Celsius. She could see closed caskets. I was surprised they asked me to send them a picture because that was the last picture that was taken of our girls alive. The next picture I saw of them in court, my daughter was not recognizable. There was nothing left. A ring made it. We got back a melted Apple Watch. Everything was gone. Their life, their future, my life was changed forever. I can tell you, I know what it likes to feel soul-shattering pain every day of my life because of somebody else's poor decision. You know, people tell you, you're the next leaders of this country. There's nothing, you don't have to wait to be the next leader. You can be a leader today. This guy spent 5 hours drinking in a bar. Walked out, got in his car. His family didn't stop him. His friends didn't stop him. The bartenders didn't stop him. This community allowed this man, 3 times the legal limit, to walk out, get in his car, and drive down the road and kill 3 people. Get involved. Be a leader. What happens in this community is whatever you choose to allow. Today is what mine and Ricky's generation made it. Tomorrow is whatever you guys choose to accept and allow. What is your standard? Because it shouldn't be this. He walked away from that accident. I don't understand how. Our 3 girls, they were all going to college to help people. Lily and Michaela were going for nursing. Haley was going for allied health. And they're the ones that were killed. I'll just tell you, life ain't fair. And people ain't gonna give you anything. You gotta get involved. You gotta be a leader.
Thank you, Joe. That was our last picture. As we told you, 3 girls were killed in that accident. The one there on the right, Taylor, was dropped off at home 20 minutes before the accident. Imagine how she feels today, being spared. All right, just got out the car at the right time, made a decision, hey, I'm not gonna go back to Thibodeau tonight, I'm just gonna stay home. So what were they doing wrong? They just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, encountering somebody. 4th DUI, that doesn't count the one that was expunged. Doesn't count the other times that person was, vehicle was found and they wasn't around it, right? So I think what you need to know is many of you are going to be faced with those same choices that my girls were faced with that night. You're going to have birthday dinners. You're going to go to spring break. You're going to go to prom. I want you to have a plan because the moment of choice there is yours, right? You're going to choose to get in that car after you've had a few because alcohol inhibits all of that. You think you can do it, but you can't, right? I want you to have a plan. I want you to stop your friends. I want you to look them in the eye and say, no, you're not okay to drive. This generation is so much better about that than our generation. There's so many opportunities for you to do better, to get a ride. I want you to stand up for yourself. I want you to stand up for your friends. I want you to stand up for your community and make the right choice when it's time to make that choice. I ask that for you, right? This guy has got 85 years in jail. He's got kids that are going to grow up without a dad. He's got parents that miss him too. But he gets to live. He made the wrong decision, right? I don't want you to make those decisions. That very day, remember I told you I called the state police and there was 4 people killed in Houma? There were 8 people killed by drunk drivers that day. There were 5 Nickel State students lost in the months of November and December to drunk driving. And guess what? None of them were the ones that were drunk. The impact of drunk driving, distracted driving, impacts our families, our community, this community right here in this room. Right? All of us know it. We have to be better. We have to be leaders. I want to tell you how the dark place and the pain we felt. I was in California, and my other daughter was scheduled to graduate about 2 weeks from UL Monroe, and we had to delay her funeral so she could go up and take finals and graduate. Right? Imagine what should be a happy moment in her life is now shrouded and tainted by this accident. Imagine having if you're an older sister, sharing a birthday with the date of the accident. And every year, when you should be celebrating your birthday, instead you're mourning loss of your family member. So the choice is yours. I want you to make the right choices. I'm going to tell you the power you have in this room. After the girls passed, there were a bunch of 18-year-old girls going around selling bracelets because they wanted to raise enough money for a scholarship. And we were defeated, y'all. I mean, I was in California. I'm just going to stay here. I want to stay away from everything. And, when you hear about that effort and what the girls are doing and they got a goal of $10,000, you hear, hey, how do I get involved and support that? So their friends, Paige, Aliana, Joe's daughter, Madeline, the sister, they all got together with a goal to make something positive out of it. And they were able to engage the community and get people involved, and we all got involved. And that goal to raise $10,000 pretty soon turned into $100,000. And we were able to establish a scholarship at Nickel State University, one for each in each of our daughters' names, that's going to live on forever. So if you're going to Nichols in nursing, you will see it. It's a scholarship available. So I want to tell you that made a difference to our families, to my attitude. And that was 18-year-olds, right? They're hurting too. All of us get in our own little selfish pocket where we're hurting, but we forget about everybody else that hurts, the people that love them, the people that still call their phone numbers, the people that text their numbers to this day. Their friends just wanting to say, hi, I miss you. So I ask you, as we go forward, you make the right choices. You have a plan, you have a DD. It doesn't guarantee your safety, but it means you won't be the one going to jail. Right? It's up to you to not tolerate it anymore. My generation did a poor job of it. Me and Joe could probably tell you all the stupid things we did. We're hypocrites, right? It impacted us. But we're here to learn. I think we taught our generation well. Because like I said, I never saw it. I only saw responsibility. We showed them when we were going out to dinner or a Saints game, guess what? We're going to Uber there. You know what? Instead of Ubering there, now that you got your driver's license, we're going to pay you $80 to bring us there. So that activity needs to live through y'all. Bring it up and don't accept it anymore. I'd like to thank you for your time. I'd like to wish you nothing but success in the future. And as we are today, 4 years from now, I'm watching their friends graduate college and get married, and maybe some of them have babies. And it hurts. I want you to think about that for y'all. Congratulations, Central Lafourche 2025. Good luck.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health System. Your health is our legacy. Rouse's, you're either local or you're not. Buick, the craft of modern luxury. St. Martin and Bork, know your rights.
some of you are going to get divorced. Some of you are going to have cancer. Some people will die. That may be out of your control, but this is preventable. We don't have to have this. And the reason we do it right now, the reason why we're here in front of you right now, is because you're about to go out into the world and make some really tough decisions. Maybe you didn't study for a test. All right, maybe you failed it. That's tough. But this, you decide to have a drink, you get behind the wheel, you kill someone, those consequences you can't take back. There's a reason we call it Domino, and I'll tell you why. Each domino that we have up here represents something. It represents you, the sheriff's office, state police, your family, your friends, our office, MAD. They all stand alone. None of them have anything to do with each other. But once the crash occurs, once it happens and you make that decision, they all fall. And there's no way they come back up. It's done. It's done once you make that decision. I beg of you, as a district attorney, but as a mom, get a designated driver. If you go to a big city, you got Uber, you got Fetty in Baton Rouge. You have people that you can call to get you where you need to get, and be that friend. Make sure that your friends don't drink and drive. And then you have a commitment to yourself. One drink, I'm not getting behind the wheel of a car. When you leave, we're going to give you a Domino keychain. I have it on mine. I've had it for years. It's to remind you when you go to pick up your keys. But what I want you to remember, it's not this. I want you to remember them. You pick up your keys and you go to drive and you're at a party or your friends are, remember them. There's a reason that those two dads were here today. So I beg of you, put it on your keychain. Take care of each other. I wish you all the best and the luck. I thank you for your attention today. I thank you, Mr. Dufresne and Mr. Koss, for reliving the pain for all of you. I wish you all the best in the future, and thank you, guys.
It was more difficult today than it was last year. Knowing the impact that we had, and yet accidents still occur, is hard. But it's an opportunity every time we see an auditorium full of young people to make a difference. And hopefully we were able to do that, as hard as it is, and selfish part of me that doesn't want to do it again. It's going to make me reconsider again next year.
I really appreciate everything that Lisa and Christine do to put this program together and get it up and running. You go through life, and sometimes you take some things and you bury it deep down inside, and it's been almost 3.5 years, and getting ready to come out here and speak again and trying to relive it makes it worth it when afterwards the kids come up and you see the emotion that they have that's associated with it. Let you know that you've touched them, and you walk away and I got full confidence that these kids, they're going to do the right thing. But my concern is that they may end up like our daughters, that they did the right thing, but somebody else out there didn't. And that's my concern coming in here, is you can see that they hear us, they understand us, and they feel it, but our daughters did too. So we just got to find a way to reach our generation, the older generation that didn't grow up on Uber, that didn't grow up with Lyft, and find ways to reach them and let them know that the devastating effects that this can have on a family.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by South Louisiana Bank. It's better when we bank together. Waits and Downer, attorneys at law. Terrebonne Ford, built Ford tough.